But I was like, damn, like this is what I want to do. Like if I want to be rich, if I want to be rich, it's gonna be through trading. It has to be because like 10K overnight, that's ridiculous.
So I want to introduce you to John Park, aka Key June. I hope I pronounced that right. He is a subscriber to the YouTube channel, and I had a little thing where if you can answer my question on the community board on the YouTube channel, then you get a chance to get a one-on-one call with me, which he won. And this was a very interesting call, a little different from my last subscriber who won. So I hope you enjoy this. And don't worry, I'll have more of these to come. All you need to do is be subscribed to either the newsletter and the YouTube because I post questions on there. And if you get an answer right, then you get part of a drawing. Let's go. Like just, whatever you want to ask me in terms of trading, anything at all. I'm here to help you as much as I can. That's the whole goal of this. That's
I see.
the purpose of what I'm trying to do is just give back as much as I can. So what I'd like to know first is, like I was asking to John earlier, what got you started, or just tell me a little bit about, what you do right now. Just like, what do you do? Do you trade all the time? Do you work too? Give me an idea.
No, I trade full time. I've been trading for 4 years now. Been consistently profitable for the past year and a half now. About
Awesome.
yeah.
So, I
And
mean, shit, you don't need help.
yeah,
That's awesome. So we can just shoot the shit then. We can talk a little bit. That's
yeah.
cool, man. So why'd you start trading?
Well, my brother got me into it. I've always wanted to trade stocks, but I never knew how to go about it. And then he bought some shares of Naked NAKD
Yeah.
back in 2017, I believe, because of a merger or something. And I was like, oh, cool. So I wanted to try it too. So I bought some as well using Robinhood. And yeah, I went on stock tweets to do all my due diligence, and
Of
everybody's saying
course.
it's gonna go to the moon. It's gonna go to the moon. So I was like, all right. I just kept buying and buying and buying, and yeah, on the day of the merger, I was up like about 10K unrealized, and then I was like, holy shit, this I'm gonna be a millionaire. So I just like, I of course I didn't take any profits or anything. Just eventually it kept coming down and down and down, and I had to take it for a 2K loss. Like
Oh,
I know, right? Yeah, but I was like, damn, like this is what I want to do. Like if I want to be rich, if I want to be rich, it's gonna be through trading. It has to be because like 10K overnight, that's ridiculous. So yeah, I've since then I've been losing money consistently, pretty much until about my third year in. Um, it was I started off really big size, so I don't recommend that obviously. Um, and then last year I entered a trading competition contest.
yeah.
Um, in November, I went. It was you just basically trade the opening of large cap stocks, and
Hmm.
you rotate your portfolio with the five stocks, and you trade just the opening, and you do that for a whole month, and whoever has the highest returns at the end of the month wins a cash prize. Um, I did that the first month, and I was just logging data because I don't trade like that at all.
Yeah.
And I ended up placing top 11, and so I actually entered again the next month, and
Out of
I
how many
got
people?
out of 5,000 people, and
Whew.
the next month it was out of 10,000 people, and I placed first because I had enough data at that point. So they flew over and they handed me a 5K check, and since then I've been able to just like I had extra money, so I just mentally put aside some money for rent, food, and just like focus fully on trading. And
Yeah.
it's worked out since. I managed to get over a PDT rule, and I believe that was like the biggest obstacle. And it changed my trading, and I've made about a little over 120K this year.
Good job. Oh, you mean last year?
Last year, yeah.
I was going to say, like this year. I mean, we've been 5 days in. But no, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I mean, look, the biggest thing that I hear from you is like you start tracking everything, and then things start clicking. It seems like things started clicking
Yeah.
after that whole contest. And by
Mhm.
the way, what contest was that? Like, how did you find out?
Uh,
What, I've never heard of
pick
this?
it's called Pick Five Media or Pick
Okay.
Five Stocks. Yeah, you could just YouTube it or Google it. But I think
Interesting.
they kind of stopped doing it after the whole pandemic. So I
Mhm.
was lucky enough to be the last one.
Nice, nice. That's
Yeah.
cool. And so you basically do you and how old are you, by the way?
25 now.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
God, when I was 25, I was working at a firm in Dallas. That's crazy. That's
Wait, how
cool.
old are you?
I am 34 or
34? Damn.
35,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So I got 10 years on you. It's
Yeah.
wild. But yeah, man. So but I'm very curious. So what kind of trader are you? Like, what do you mean? Like, what have you found to work for you? Like, do you focus on big caps, everything, small caps, or what is your niche?
Mm, I can do everything, but large cap stocks, obviously, it requires you to be a little bit more patient and just for me, at least for my style, and just use bigger time frames. But for smaller cap stocks, which has been hot recently, um, I just look for areas where shorts are stuck, and I can pretty much with a really high win rate get in where they're going to be squeezing out, and I could immediately downsize into the pop and then immediately reduce risk. And if it stops me out, I'll be either out for a small win or small loss. Um, but recently, I've been working on just because the follow through has been there recently. I've been working on just holding the bulk and just cutting maybe like a small partial into the pop, and then uh, just trying to trail as much as I can for as long as I can. But and same thing for the short side. Just wherever longs are stuck and they have to get out is where I'm gonna be getting in. But just not any setups like that. If it's just the opposing side is stuck, then I'll treat it as a scalp and I'll be out bulk immediately. But if it's like if there's an actual setup there and there's other shorts willing to get in where I'm getting in, plus longs are stuck, then those are my go-tos. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So that's cool that you kind of clarified that because first off, it's not just any place that shorts are getting stuck or longs are getting shit on. It's mainly,
Mhm.
maybe there's a setup, and the setup for
Mhm.
you may be different than it is for me, but it's like a key point on the chart, whether it's key support area, maybe it's a descending triangle, maybe it's an ascending triangle with a breakout, with shorts being stuck. All of that combined can give you a really nice play. And it's interesting. You sound like a scalper to me because you go for that quick movement, which is cool. Like there's nothing against scalpers at all. Like I
Mhm.
gave it a bad connotation when I first started the show because I thought it just wasn't the right way, but I was
Mhm.
proven wrong. It is a great way to trade and it fits for a lot of people. So I just can't do it. Now I just don't. It's just not my personality. But
Mhm.
what's cool is that you're you're doing it. You found success with that. You've stuck with it, and you've been profitable for now for about a year. You're going in a year and a half now, or a year.
About a year and a half now.
Okay, and now you're starting to make slight adjustments. You're like, oh look,
Mhm.
it's starting to trend higher, longer. Or there's a bigger
Mhm.
part of the move. Let me hold. Let me experiment. How can I do this? Can I hold all of it? Can I just sell a little bit?
Mhm.
And that's very interesting, man. I love that you said that because it does, you're constantly growing, you're constantly evolving. Everyone thinks once you find consistency that you're there, and you're not. You're just at the beginning of your journey, which is cool to hear, man. So it's hats off to you for finding your own niche, your own consistency. It's really cool to hear that. And I like that you kind of clarified, like I said earlier, with the confluence. It's not just one thing, it's multiple things adding up that help you, determine if you're going to get in play. Now, what are those things for you? Like for me, it's going to be different. Like I trade bigger time frames, and I say bigger time frames, but big picture and small picture. But anyway, like some of my trades are because of a descending triangle or something like that. But like for you, what do you look for yourself for the type of trader you are when it comes to when shorts are getting screwed or when longs are getting screwed?
My favorite is the ABCD flag setup.
Yeah.
Um, it's a very high win rate recently. I mean, all throughout, but the way I've filtered my criteria, it's very high win rate. And on the short side, I only trade like inverted cups
Hmm.
and bear flags. I like to trade bear flags where a shitty bull flag has failed and is spiked up in volume, and you can tell there's lots of long stuck. And then after Because not all bull flags work. And if I know that it's likely to fail, I just wait for that pop to happen. And then I could either, I've saw your recent video saying that you've been scaling into trades.
Mhm.
I've been scaling into trades more recently, and just into those shitty pops that I know is likely going to fail, I can start a small starter. And then as it's working, I scale in more and more. And then immediately into the first wash, I scale down immediately to reduce my risk, and then let the rest trail for as long as it goes.
Yeah, I love it, man. Good stuff. You know,
Yeah.
it's cool because you mentioned a couple of things I want to point out too, and at the end of the day, you can share what you want to share. It's not a big deal to me, but I want you to know that my show, hopefully, you know, it's all about giving everything back, like giving everything back, helping other traders. But you don't have to do that. I'm just saying a couple of things. You've kind of been doing that, which is awesome. But some things that you mentioned is how you think about your trade. Like you get in your trade and then you determine like, I've noticed that bull flags, not all bull flags work. These work better than others, and the ones that don't doesn't mean I don't trade it. I can just find a different way to trade it. And you
Exactly.
found shorting it. And so when you see that weak pop, you start to size in and then cover into the wash. And what you're really telling me, and what everyone needs to listen, is you're really focused on that risk management. That's really what you're doing. Like you're like, yeah, it doesn't work all the time. It doesn't mean I'm going to hold for it to go completely against me. I'm going to cover some to make myself comfortable, and then maybe hold some more as it fades. So that's cool to hear. Just curious, what is its difference for you? And everyone's different, by the way, guys. Like just because it works for John doesn't mean it's going to work for me, and doesn't mean it's going to work for anyone else. Like the way I trade does not. It probably won't work for anyone else. Like everyone's different. But I'm just curious, like what's one thing that kind of made you realize the difference between a bull flag that's good and a bull flag that's not good for you?
Well, just trial and error, and just actually logging your trades and filling out all the criteria. It's like, I know a lot of people don't like Excel, but if you actually just log it in, the process of you logging it in is where you're going to actually learn, like it's things that you won't normally look at. Stuff like I've realized for my bull flags, if it's over, if there's a lot of overhead resistance, like huge volume resistance, it's likely not to work. So I need to see prior resistance hold as new support. And then usually I never take flags below VWAP, and the daily chart needs to be clean ideally. The smaller the float, the better. But all these you can find on your own, and see like which works and which doesn't. But I know that you can have a smaller win rate if you want, but just like if you, like I said, like what I started off doing, like scalping, if you scalp bulk into the pop and just trail small partial, and just some trades may not work, but by doing it that way, it could drastically increase your win rate. And over time you could tweak it to
No, absolutely. I agree with you. And you pointed out something else, man. That's really awesome. I didn't expect us to be talking about any of this, which is cool. You mentioned the idea of the things you learn is by actually just type it into your Excel. Like you start to pick up things rather than the whole complication of calculations. Because everyone hears Excel and they may be stressed about like the whole idea of typing everything in and then calculating, but I'm sure the calculations really intimidates a lot of people. It did me for a while. And so that's why I just didn't do it. I'm not really an Excel person anymore, but I used to do it all the time. And I think there's huge value in it. And you pointed out exactly, nail on the head, is when you're starting to type out your criteria, you start to say, oh, every time, like now I'm realizing this market cap matters, or maybe this kind of news matters, or maybe this float matters, or whatever it is. And people are probably scratching their head asking, Alex, why don't you just go ahead and ask John, what is his criteria? I'm just going to tell you criteria. Like at the end of the day, criteria is anything and everything that you want to track. So like you could just start off, like for me, I used to just start off by tracking float, market cap, and then I would track the total volume on the day and RVOL, which is relative volume. Meaning did it trade add normal volume, right? And then volatility, like I want to see, is there a range in that stock? And then I would track news, and I would also track what type of setup is this, and what does that mean? It's whatever. Setups are just made up. Like you just put a name on it, and then it's a setup. So just
Yeah.
put a name on the setup that you've seen, whether it's an ascending triangle, descending triangle. But the biggest thing is all trading is the same. Like that's what I've learned. And every trader trades the same setups. I don't give a shit who you are. We all trade this. There's not that many setups in terms of descending, ascending, trend lines, support, resistance. We all use the key basic principles, but how we trade it and what we determine in the setup depends on you. And I can tell you, John, I know that you are trading so that you've seen and you recognize at first too, and you saw it over and over because you had screen time now, 3.5 years of trading, that it makes it easier for you to be more convinced. And then when you tracked it, that plus what you've been seeing just gives you more confidence to push forward. So that's what I noticed in you and just talking to you briefly. And I think that's what people need to hear is like, there is no formula. There's no magic. It's just you got to make sure that you have that screen time. You got to make sure you track something, track just market float. And you can even just track biotechs, and learn as much as you can about biotechs. You can even just track a niche and just track that. Yeah. If you just focus on that, you'll be that trader. Like, that's why you hear traders who focus on, corn and focus on Zoom and Tesla, all the big names only. I know a buddy of mine who trades only Tesla. Like he loves trading Tesla and he's good at it because he trades it all the time. So he knows how it acts. So that's what you guys need to hear. Just pick up the lessons John's dropping here. Make sure you re-listen to this because he's saying a lot of things that I don't want you to get lost in and be like, oh, what specific criteria? What you really need to hear is how he's becoming successful, how he found the consistency, and those principles are what's going to make you consistent. So John, sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure people understood that. Now, the other thing is, man, what I'm curious on, what gave you the first off, 25, 24, I'm guessing 24 is when you went full time and you saved up some money. So you must have had a great job at first, right? Like to save money to pay for your rent and all that, right? Or how did that work?
No, not really. I was just serving.
Oh, nice. Thanks for your service, man. Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant serving. I thought you meant serving our country. Okay, my bad. But no, cool. So serving tables.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just and doing delivery, and I was going to school for nursing, but nice. I was damn. And then at that time, I found out trading, and I was like, damn, fuck. Like, why should I waste my time doing nursing and all that if this is what I really want to do? And I felt like having a backup plan kind of like gave me an option, like another route, worst case scenario, and I didn't want that either. So I just kind of dropped out.
Okay. And so you just basically just saved up and made sure your bills were paid. You save up like 3 months, 6 months, a year. I saved a year.
Well, I've saved up like a couple months, and I'd always quit, and then I'd always lose it all in the markets, and then I'd always have to find another job, and then save up again, quit, save up, quit, and then really? I just realized, like, obviously, like, I think it's best if you just stick to your job and trade with your job, but I didn't know that at the time, so eventually I ended up doing DoorDash and Grubhub on my own schedule, so I don't have to quit all the time, and yeah.
That's smart, man. I love that you said that because if you know my story, I quit like 3 times. And now that I know, I'm like, no one should quit. You should stay and you can do it and work. You could try swing trading. There's so many ways to trade. There's so many ways to trade to make money. So
and save a lot of money by paper trading first.
Yes. Yeah. Because remember, John, you said you started off big size. Why do you recommend people not to do that? Because you said I don't recommend that right away.
Because nobody knows what works in the beginning, and nobody knows what works for them, and there isn't like one guru out there. There's like so many that you can learn from, and you don't know what your style is, and they can tell you a perfectly profitable setup, but you won't be able to execute it properly, or you won't know how to execute it properly. So you need the time to learn and just make that setup yours. And if you start off with big size, that's just a huge handicap. Like after you lose it all, you're just gonna have to dig yourself out of the hole. Just save up enough for over PDT ideally, but you don't have to. But
what's great is what you mentioned is the fact. You should just take over the show because you're giving away such great information, man. You just said it doesn't matter. Like there's so many gurus out there teaching. that the reason you should start with small is because you're going to make a lot of mistakes. Just because one strategy works for someone doesn't mean it's going to work for someone else. And you got to know what fits you and your own personality. And I'm glad you said that because it's coming from someone else rather than me. And it just shows that every trader is going to find their way. Like, you got to take
Mhm.
time, take your time. Don't waste a lot of money. My buddy's learning right now and he lives nearby. We just had lunch and he was like, man, I'm really excited. And I'm like, yeah, but you need to slow down. You should really do what I should have done. and, and that's take your time, read these books. I gave him all these books to read. And then I said, after you read that, let's go over technicals. Let's go over, it's trends. And then let's do paper trading for about 6 months minimum, maybe a whole year, depending. And I try to put him in the mindset of this is a talent, a skill, something that you'll learn and keep for the rest of your
Mhm.
life. So now you're 25, you found what works for you, and now you have your rest of your life to really hone in, get better at, and grow, which is phenomenal. So that's awesome, man. That's awesome. You said something else. Oh, you mentioned, I recommend if you could save over PDT, but you did not, and you actually made yourself over PDT. Tell me, when you went over PDT, right when you were near it, got close to it, went over it, but not by a lot. What was that like? Was there any kind of challenge for you? Like, I'm so close to it, regardless if you were barely above it or barely below it. Like, explain that for people.
It's yeah, you're gonna be just too focused on not wanting to lose because you're gonna drop back below the PDT, and you kind of don't trade your best when you're like kind of hovering over it, just barely. So I actually didn't combine all my money into one account until I had at least 30K. I had like multiple brokers open,
Yep.
and I was just trading like nine times a week, doing it that way. But yeah, if you're just too focused on not being under the PDT, it's gonna affect you. So yeah, try not to do that.
That's smart. That's
Yeah.
smart. You had three
Mhm.
accounts, and so therefore
Yeah.
you make those 9-day trades, which is smart. So
Hmm.
that's a good advice, man. So I have a question, man, because I'm over here asking you questions. I'm like, this is an interview because I found out that you've already found your consistency. So now, do you have anything you want to talk about, or anything you want to ask, or anything at all before we start to wrap this up?
Mm, not really. Uh, yeah, I've got a weird habit of or not a weird habit. It's weird for me, but I recently started reading books. Just like I found out Atomic Habit through your channel
Oh,
when
cool.
you interviewed a humble trader, and that's a really good book. I recommend it to a lot of people. And I was wondering if you have any other recommendations
For
now that I'm done
books?
with this one. Yeah,
Oh,
like
dude.
it doesn't have to be trading related.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my favorite book that's not traded related are two of them,
Hmm.
and it's The Alchemist. I don't know if you've ever heard of this book.
No.
But oh my gosh, it's a great book because it's more of a novel with tons of principles and philosophies about this man who looks and seeks for his purpose. And the whole journey travels around the world and ends up back where he started. And it's a phenomenal book. And then the other one is Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Mindset. Oh yeah, I heard about that one.
Oh my God, dude, that book right there,
Really, that good.
it's fire. Like, it's so good. It's so good. So good. You need to read that. It'll help you stay in the mindset of a growth mindset versus a fixed. But it'll also show you that you have fixed mindsets in other areas of your life,
Mhm.
but growth mindsets in other areas. So just so people tend to think like, oh, I'm open minded, and they think they're open minded in just everywhere. Where there's a lot of times where we may be open minded on these areas, but on these areas we're not. We're fixed. We're closed. And so she shows you how to see that, and that book just shows you all of that and how to open that up and be more open to growth. And it's sick, man. You need to check that book out. But those are the two that are definitely my favorite that popped up right away.
All right, will do. Thanks,
What'd
man.
you take away from Atomic Habits? Because I'm curious. I think I've only read that once, and I may be lying, so I got to check my Kindle. So that's why I'm asking. What pops out of that book for you that was like a takeaway?
It's just like I things that I wouldn't have thought of before, but I just unconsciously do it, subconsciously.
Yeah.
Um, like habits are basically you're just they go much more in depth, but it's you're just rewarded for a shitty behavior, and you're just gonna keep doing that shitty behavior over and over. And there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to fix in my trading as well that carries over as well from this book, and just in life in general, like logging my trades. I I after I became consistent, I kind of just been lazy with it, and after a while, like it starts to like take a toll. Like you can tell that you're not trading your A plus, and you gotta go back to logging your trades and see like every day have a different trading goal for the next day to improve on what you're good at, and then to prevent what you're bad at, and just like I use this mainly for journaling because I feel like I was so bad at journaling.
What do you mean by journaling? Do you mean tracking, or do you mean like
Yeah, tracking. I take
events?
screenshots of all my trades, and I put down my entries and exits and what I could have done better. If it worked, why it worked. If it didn't, why it didn't. How I executed a trade, how I managed it while I was in, stuff like that. Different criterias. I use Evernote. That's a good one. Good
Yeah,
journal.
I love Evernote.
Yeah.
It's easy, and it's like easy to
Yeah.
put your if you're visual, like it seems like you kind of are. You just take your screenshots, and you can like go through every screenshot you ever
Yeah.
taken really quick, and categorize all the screenshots for whatever breakouts or all the screenshots for gap craps, you know. And that's an awesome way to learn. But man, you know what's crazy, John? I appreciate you. First off, thanks, man, for being a listener. Thanks for being a
Yeah.
subscriber to the channel. And I appreciate it, man. And I'm glad that this, regardless of what would have happened if you were consistently or not, it would have been a fun time. But it's interesting. I thought I was bringing on someone who wasn't consistent, and it's someone who is. So it's just cool that, I appreciate you being a listener. I really do. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, of course. You're doing a good job for everyone out there. And yeah, I just like I don't have any like trading friends at all. It's a lonely job, honestly. So like just
Yes.
having someone to talk to, it excites me too. So I
Awesome,
have
awesome. I can see it, man. I agree
yeah,
with you. It is lonely because like all my buddies who I like once had lunch with, they're working a regular job, and so it's like hard to meet up because like I'm free,
yeah.
but they're not, and so it's tough. But I don't mean that in a negative way because I mean
Yeah.
everyone is what there is. Everyone has different schedules, but it sucks because like I want to hang out with my friends when I'm done, and I can't all the time. But that's why I'm picking up other things like the show and other stuff. But I appreciate you so much, man. It's good to talk to you. I can tell that you love trading. I can just tell from the joy it brings you when you're talking about it. So hey, keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay in touch because I'd love to just see where you go, man. It'll be cool. It would be cool to officially maybe bring you on the show rather than a contestant winning. It'll be cool to be like, hey, let's talk about this. So
That
cool.
sounds fun.
All right, man. Take care.